All right, got a question from Asrar on LinkedIn in response to a post about creating content. And he said, I'm actually in the middle of this decision phase to create a podcast or not. At times I feel I need a starter person who could join me or who I could join them. Any suggestions? This is something I've thought about quite a bit. I've done a podcast with a buddy for 4 years or so, and I've also tried other things. This is my latest effort in the realm of video and podcasting and audio and stuff. I've talked a little bit about how it's hard to do things individually. There is something very powerful about having somebody to tag team with, to keep you going, to keep you motivated. It's a lot easier to create content when you can bounce off of somebody else versus doing it solo. The downsides are that it can be hard to find that person who you have good rapport with. If you do find that person, it's always a challenge to sync up schedules. It's always a challenge to be on the same page. One person might be more motivated than another at different times and seasons of life. It's funny, I didn't know what my answer to this question was going to be, but I was like, I'm just going to riff on it and see where I land. What I would say is, if you have someone that you think you'd like to do it with, definitely go for it. Ask them and get going. I'm assuming that if you're asking this question, you might not have that person, which is a whole challenge in of itself. And actually, I think I remember Anchor having a feature that allows you to find a podcast co-host, which I thought was really fascinating. And that might be worth looking into. I think that's an interesting space to help matchmaking for podcast hosts. So if you have that person, do it. What I would say, do both. Make a commitment to create content on a regular basis. That could be daily. I sort of am becoming a really big fan of doing it daily, even if it's a small amount. Maybe it's a 1-minute video clip that you do. If you're doing a podcast with a co-host, you're most likely going to do that weekly. So I would say, if you have somebody, go ahead and get that started. Do it weekly. And then if you want to create a podcast, if you want to create audio or video content, do it on your own as well, because then it really doesn't take a lot of time. For you to create a video every day literally could take 2 minutes. The hardest barrier is just doing it, and then the self-doubt that comes in, the self-consciousness, all that kind of stuff. And then your content won't be very good at first, so you got to iterate and it'll get better over time. I think I would say do both.